Alrighty, so I'm here with AJ. Maybe you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. AJ Vignola. I'm a partner and financial planner, CFP at King Financial Network out of Manalapan, New Jersey.
There we go. Yeah, and you guys, I guess, pretty large firm. You guys have grown pretty quickly over, you were telling me, the last decade or so. I guess maybe give us the backstory of yourself, how you got into the advisory industry, and kind of your journey with King Financial Network.
So I got in right out of college. I was actually a marketing major, but started interning with a financial group in Philadelphia. Liked the finance side, liked the engagement with people and trying to help people. We were specifically working with actually younger physicians, so helping them with student loan repayments, getting them some basic insurances in place, and setting them up on a plan. And then I pivoted back so I got licensed there as an intern, graduated, worked through January of that year, and then I had an offer to come work with Jim King, who founded King Financial Network. And he actually was a advisor in my family growing up. So I knew Jim for a while, back when he was building the business, sitting at my parents' kitchen table doing meetings in person and just trying to grind and grow his business. And at the time he was looking to hire, and I wanted to get back to New Jersey, where I was from. So it just seemed like a good fit, and he was looking to grow. So that was 2014, January 2014. So fast forward to today, just shy about 12 years now. At the time we had myself, Jim, Tony Kelly, who's the other partner, Linda and Joe. So Linda's our insurance director, and Joe is our director of operations, non-licensed guy. There's only 5 of us. And then fast forward to today, we 10x'd our AUM. So we were at 100 million at the time I joined, just over $1 billion today. And we are now at a staff of 15 designated specialists and still growing. So multiple CFPs on the team now. We've brought attorneys in-house for estate planning. We still have insurance. We have CPAs for tax prep, tax filing, and tax strategy. Mm-hmm. So we've got portfolio strategists, multiple planners, kind of the whole.
So you guys are like the family office. That is the holistic. Yes. You got it all.
So we are the multi-family office experience is what we try and offer for, not the ultra high net worth, just regular high net worth people.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I guess, I really want to dive into kind of that growth over, that 10 years. Maybe just preface with, when you first got to the firm, what was the growth strategy like? Were you cold calling? Was it seminar marketing? What were you doing to grow at that time?
A lot of old school networking, going to a chamber of commerce, a referral networking group. There was a little bit of cold calling. We bought lists in the past. We had tried out different marketing strategies that were never really too fruitful. And then really and we didn't even start doing seminars or webinars until last year. So really a lot of the growth came from a shift towards planning and getting more building out that family office. So there was a demand for people to be able to say, I have my taxes, my investments, my insurance, and my estate planning all done with one team, and I feel peace of mind from that. Mm-hmm. And then through all those different affiliations came kind of referrals, right? So someone came as our attorneys run their own law practice. We don't participate in their legal revenue, and they don't participate in the the money management side. But just naturally, right, that referral partnership, if you're working with those centers of influence in your firm and they're on your staff, you're naturally going to be kind of the first source of referrals. So that's really where a lot of the growth came from. And then, recently we started some webinars and kind of creating some educational funnels. And now we're starting with you with some different content and getting some education out there and trying to get more.
Getting on the digital
people.
side. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm curious, did you notice, so when you guys, because it sounds like mostly it was, you had so many different avenues that you could hit on. You had the taxes, you had the estate planning, you had the insurance. I guess, did you notice that is one thing, and just from marketing I see a lot of times, is selling purely like financial advising is probably one of the hardest things to sell out of like the financial services, like to a cold audience or to someone to be like, hey, I should be your financial advisor, versus, estate planning, you can really show the value. Tax planning, you can really upfront kind of say, hey, I'll save you X amount of money, here's kind of the cost. Did you notice that there was a certain aspect, maybe the estate planning, the taxes, where a lot more of the business was, people were more drawn to, and then it was easier to funnel them into kind of the other services, or if you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if it was necessarily easier, because we, at that point too, we were 100 million and we were, we had a pretty strong size household for that. I would say we probably had like, at the time, maybe $500,000 was the average household. Mm-hmm. So we had about 200 families or so that we were dealing with. So that referral tree kind of started to grow a little bit more. So we had that coming in, but then also I think like a recommendation, whether they work for you or not, when you get a recommendation from an attorney who just completed your estate plan, that's a highly regarded referral, right? Mm-hmm. That comes with somebody that's I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
I know what you're saying.
That's like of a higher
like,
level of professionalism that says, hey, you should really talk to these guys about your investments. I know that we did your estate plan. I know you did this. A lot of times too, like people miss that. You go to an attorney, you set up a trust, and you do all this estate planning. And we have people that come to us all the time, and they're like, oh yeah, I have this trust. I did my estate plan. I'm like, great, let me see the statement for the account. And they're like giving a statement, and they never put the money in trust. They have a trust, but they never executed it. So I think like when you start getting into that planning and just saying, hey, by the way, like, do you have an advisory team that's now going to take this plan and execute it for you? That goes a long way to being like, hey, maybe I should sit down with these guys and
100%.
Hear them out.
It's a huge value add. And so your guys' sales, I guess, what does your sales process look like? You guys aren't doing any planning fees. So everything's comprehensive when someone invests with your firm.
Yep.
I guess, what does that process look like for you guys to bring a client on?
Yeah, so I would say if it's a referral, it's usually a 2 to 3 meetings tops. The digital side is a little bit of a longer sales process because you're a little bit colder on
of course,
coming just from someone clicking on something on the internet. So really, I think our first meeting process is really like kind of doing what we call like a short form financial plan. So it's a financial conversation. We want to find out why they even took the meeting in the first place, what's most important to them, what's top of mind, what are their concerns, what are their hopes and dreams, and then we kind of try and take an inventory of okay, well, now that we know what your goals are, let's talk about your financial picture. What are your assets? What kind of 401k assets do you have? IRA, Roth, non-retirement. What's your income? What's your job? What's your plans for retirement? What insurances do you have? Do you have a will? Who does your taxes? So it's a pretty comprehensive financial conversation in that first meeting. And that's what I always lead with before I tell them anything about what we do. Because we got to be able to solve whatever problem they're there for.
Of course.
So once we kind of go through that, then I can talk about how all the different pieces of the team are going to specifically help with their plan, because I know what they have, what they need, what they might not need. So I won't spend time on things that don't make sense to talk to them about. And we'll give them an overview of what we do, the team, access to the full team, level of service they'll get. And then oftentimes the second meeting is of a more in-depth analysis of their actual investment portfolio. So we'll dial back to the investments, we'll input everything that they did give us into our financial planning tool to kind of preview what an ongoing financial plan would look like. So it's a blueprint of the initial plan. So we'll show them that along with some recommendations on how they might adjust their portfolio or how we would do things differently, what their fees are that they're currently paying versus the fees that we charge. And usually after that second meeting, there's enough education for them to make a decision.
And that's even for the digital side?
The digital side is maybe goes one more meeting, just because sometimes that first conversation we have right now, at least.
It's like building the relationship.
Yeah, it's like we call it like a 15-minute retirement session, or like taxes. Right now we call it like a taxes and retirement strategy session, we call it. So that's more of like a pre-qualifying meeting to even see if it makes sense to have a broader discussion.
Yeah.
So that's usually only like 15 to 30 minutes. And then we'll have a second meeting after that where we go more into detail. I'll try and get statements before that meeting, or at least during it, to go through it. But that's usually a longer, like hour and a half meeting. And then there's sometimes like another one after that we just, because we can't get to everything all at once.
Of course. What would you say is like the biggest difference, because you guys have obviously done the digital side and obviously the like referrals, which is a lot of people have done. What's the biggest difference when it comes to your sales process in closing business digitally versus when you get a referral? Because a lot of people, or a lot of advisors, obviously like the lead quality, the actual people you're sitting down with is important, but how does that sales process vary, and how have you guys found success in that?
Yeah, so the sales process, when you get a referral from somebody, they're usually ready to hire someone like at that point, right? When it gets to the point that like a friend told the friend to come see us, that friend's usually not coming to see us unless they want to work with an advisor. With the educational route, there's inevitably going to be an amount of people who are just kind of interested in learning more, and they're not quite ready to hire anyone yet. They might not ever hire anyone. Hopefully you don't spend too much time with those people, but it takes time. Definitely takes longer to just prove that you have expertise in what you're talking about, demonstrate how that expertise is going to translate specifically to them. That's important. You can't just kind of talk in generalities. You got to really give them, like, this is what we can do for you. And I think just that entire process of gaining trust and gaining credibility with somebody that's digital, it takes more. So, there's the webinars, the people get replays of the webinars, then we send them market update videos. We encourage them to visit our website, and we try and just, so some of these people, like, we closed a recent client in March of this year, but she attended a webinar in March of last year. So it was a 1-year sales process to get that person. And we weren't like cold calling her every day, but it just happened that like she got enough content and enough refreshers, and she got to a point where she's like, okay, I think I'm ready to make a decision, and I've done my homework, and I think you guys are the firm for me. So
yeah, and that's the biggest thing we talk about all the time is like it's not always about direct response immediately, but it's staying top of mind. So when they do go to take that action or that step, it's, oh, well, I've seen AJ's emails, or I keep seeing his videos or his content, so I'm going to go this route versus, everyone thinks it's like they see an ad once, they click the ad, they take the action, they come sit down in a meeting with you, and they're just ready to go. Yeah. And it's obviously a lot more of a process. I guess, is there anything in specific, like, do you guys have a specific, I guess, presentation you provide, or is it more of just, hey, we want to understand your situation, then we will adapt everything to you? Because a lot of advisors, they'll kind of go into meetings not really, I've noticed, at least within our kind of community and the advisors we work with, a lot of them don't have any kind of sales assets. It's kind of like, hey, we have conversation, and then hopefully by the end of the day, you want to work with me.
Yeah, we have sales assets, but it's conversation first. If I sit down with someone and I just tell them everything that we do and I don't know anything about them, that's not a great way to kind of start a relationship with anybody. So, but the sales assets I think are important, because I think once you have an understanding, and so we have like 3 main pieces I use is a basic meeting agenda that kind of just talks about who the team is, what we do, and what makes us unique. So that's one. That's a little agenda that I give to them to kind of run on, but I don't give them that until the second half of the meeting.
Of course.
So the first half is just conversations. And then we have 2 other pieces. One that's like a organizational chart of the team, so it shows everyone's pictures, their titles, so they can actually see who the team is, and then an overview of the multifamily office experience, we call it. So that's like everything you get as a client of ours, from the financial planning, the taxes, the estate, the insurance, business planning, exit strategy, complex compensation, stock compensation, all of the things you could kind of think of that would come up. We have a sheet that kind of illustrates all that. So those are things that I will we have them, and then what I'll do is, after I understand the conversation, I'll tailor that to say, okay, well, you mentioned that you were concerned about a divorce for your children who stand to inherit significant assets. Have you had your estate planning done, and did you look at doing a testamentary trust? And I'll circle that on the sheet. And I'll kind of say, like, this applies to you. Have you sat down with an attorney that's done this, and then did you align your beneficiaries to make sure that they all go with your estate plan, for example? So I'll highlight specific things like Roth conversions, taxes, estate, insurance, trusts, that they should be considering, and kind of give them that as a walkaway. Like, say, we are going to be the team that quarterbacks all this for you. And everything else is obviously available to you, but these are the things that I think stand out as must take care of immediately, whether it's us or someone else. You should take care of these things. And that usually is enough to get people to take action. It doesn't happen right away. It's sometimes like a week or two. I follow up and just have any questions. What do you think? What do you think of the meeting? Is there anything else I could provide you with? And usually that's a good way to get people to take action.
Yeah, and have you noticed with, like, say, like your guys' digital pipeline, you have to be, on top of the actual pipeline as well. Like, you have to make sure you're checking in, you're following up, because a lot of people, because I think the thing is, a lot of advisors grow initially off of just referrals in their local market, right, or their network.
Yeah.
And referrals, no one's really going to ghost you if they're referred to you, or if they kind of,
there's a level of, like, respect there.
Exactly. So you're used to, like, not having to work your pipeline, right? It's not really as much. So have you noticed that in the digital side, like, you have to work your pipeline to an extent?
So we've been doing the webinars a little over a year and a half now. We've got about 1,500 names on our pipeline that have just interacted with our brand in some capacity. They at least registered for a webinar. Some of them attended, some of them just got a replay. And we had kind of like an automated follow-up that was okay, nothing great. We recently had some of our younger advisors just kind of check in with people that recently attended and just say, hey, did you have any questions? Did you want to book a session? What kind of feedback do you have for us? Just to have a conversation with people. And that's generated more appointments as well. So to your point, yes, that's part of the reason why we're working with you guys too, is to give you some of that data and see if you can kind of get our new content.
Yeah, the new all the old pipeline, 100%, because it's that's why I gotta love the reactivation campaigns. All the leads you've generated, you have those forever to work with, and it all just plays into, because your social, or like your digital presence, is an ecosystem. It's not just this like one, like, sure, we have the webinar system, the leads were generated, just because a lead didn't convert, we just throw it away, and then that's that, right? It's the ecosystem you have. And I think it's just, you guys also have a very good just digital presence in general. I guess how big have you noticed that's been in a part of helping you close business online? Like, right, your guys' Google reviews, your website, like, has that helped? Or I guess it's hard to directly know, but.
No, definitely. We actually just had someone call last week and made an appointment, and they said, I just looked for financial advisors in my area, and I saw you guys had all these Google reviews, and I want to make an appointment with you. So, recommendations were not allowed in our industry for a long time, testimonials. And as soon as they allowed that to happen, we jumped on the Google review solicitation right away, just because we have a big client base. And I've noticed, we're not getting a lot of, the example I gave you of someone calls out of the blue is not happening very often.
Yeah.
But we encourage people when we're giving webinars, when we're talking to people for that first conversation, to say, hey, do me a favor, like, if you're doing some homework on us, just go read through our Google reviews. Just
100%.
Those are real clients. You can see what people are saying about us, and Jim King jokes around. He's like, if I'm ever having a bad day, I'll just read
go read them.
I'll go read some of the Google reviews. I'll start feeling a lot better.
No, I love when we're working with a client and like I'm reading through the reviews and we're kind of gathering them for the assets. Like it's always like, man, like this is a great firm. It's like a good thing to market them. And I'm sure even just like, and I know it's hard to like quantify that, but one, not a lot of advisors do it because it wasn't allowed for so long. So I feel like in the eyes of prospects and clients, it really stands out, and especially because one thing you notice about reviews from advisory clients, like when you're a good advisor obviously, is they are from the heart when you read those reviews, and they can definitely help in terms of closing business. I'm sure you guys have noticed that as well.
Definitely, and as part of our efforts to kind of, like you said, build the ecosystem, as we do more with you and we continue to build that, like we've been telling all of our staff, like, look, if you're having a good meeting with someone, you're having a good heart-to-heart, like ask them if they can take 30 seconds and just leave that 5-star Google review, and just, even if it's just a quick one-liner or something like that, it helps. So the more of those we can get, the better for sure. And I'm curious to see how AI evolves, and I think search traffic on Google has been down significantly, and now it's more people are asking ChatGPT and other
and ranking in that,
and so I think that's like untapped in a sense too, and I don't think we fully understand how to rank there yet, but maybe you do. But
no, it's something we've looked. I believe it's called like, and I'm not like the SEO expert, but I think it's called like GEO or something like that now is what they're kind of calling it, where you're trying to rank in my personal opinion, I think if you rank on Google high and your SEO is good, it's kind of pulling from so you should be good at least for now. But no, 100%, it'll definitely be interesting to see how that evolves. I mean, even with AI for like just social media marketing, if you've seen like VO3, you're looking at that for like creating content for even advisors' ads. You can create a batch of ads, all that content. So it's definitely, AI will definitely play a huge role. I mean, in every industry, but it'll be fun to see. So I won't keep you here because I know we've been shooting content all day. You've been up for way too long. But I guess any last, I guess maybe for some advisors who are newer, or maybe they're solo advisors, or they're trying to grow their firm, because you guys obviously have seen a lot of growth. You've been along the ride for that entire journey. What, I guess, is a piece of information or advice you would give to an advisor trying to grow their business, trying to, because I'm sure you had ups and downs. You had to invest in your business. Things didn't work out. What's one piece of advice that you would give?
Man, I think definitely take advantage of digital if you can. Number one, as part of your efforts to grow. It's not gonna be some magic formula where you just have this amazing digital presence and just turns into business like that. But it's important to have that as one of the legs of it. And then I think the other piece I would say is just get good professionals around you. If you can somehow integrate them into your team, even better. If you can't, try and at least position it so that you're working very closely with these other professionals that your clients are going to need. And if you can do that and get some good centers of influence, it's a long game, it takes a while. But if you can cultivate those relationships, that will help drive business, absolutely.
Perfectly said. Well, AJ, appreciate it.
It's been real. Thanks for having me.